All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have a couple more people with some technical issues trying to log on, so we're going to postpone just a second for them. So let's give this a couple minutes so I can get the kinks worked out and get on the call, and then we will get going. So a couple technical difficulties looks like preventing a couple of people from getting on the calls. Got a couple emails, so we will get moving here in about 2 minutes. So sit tight. Let's let them get on, and we will pick back up and go. All right, looks like we've got some people on now. We got that worked out, and they are now on and ready to go. So we're going to get moving here. Uh, Jumping into things, agenda for today. Going to look at that sales review sheet real quick, and then we're going to go over an on-site call using our sales process. So I know Tom, I think we listened to a piece of this call weeks ago in one of our classes early on, so some of it might sound familiar. We were a little slow getting in the outside sales call recordings from the different groups. So hopefully we get some more of those this week. I know some of you sent them in. We just did not have time to go through all of them as soon as they were sent in because I think the vast majority came in late last night. So anyways, got a call, someone using our process. We're going to go over that today. We're going to hear it in action. We'll skip through that call. It's about an hour and a half, but there's a few minute markers and some specific things I think that'll be really beneficial to us. So we will go through each of those. First, the outside sales review sheet. And after we go through that, if you have a copy of your own, what you can do is just kind of listen to the sales call and follow along with the outside sales review sheet, kind of mark off what you hear, what you're missing, and that'll give you a good test run to using that. Whether you do it inside sales calls, whether you have your sales teams do it, whether you fill them out after the sales calls, it just kind of helps tie those two things together. What actually happens in an appointment and how we fill that out. Okay? So why use a sales review sheet? Pretty simple. These come really handy when we're doing some pre-call planning. So we can identify and prepare for some challenges. We can use it to stay on course during the sales call. These can get complicated. We get pulled, off course. We go down rabbit holes. We forget where we are. We sometimes just forget things, and we don't realize we forgot until it's too late. So we'll also use them during the course of the sales call. When possible, if I do it over the phone, I have one of these in front of me. If I'm in a sales call, I love to have one in either a manila folder or on a clipboard. And then post-call debrief. So some of you here on this call are in the sales leadership roles or company owners. So this is really great when you want to kind of see how appointments are going. Or if you're a salesperson and maybe a sales call fell apart, or maybe you missed something and you can't figure out what it is. This is the sheet you look at where you can usually pretty quickly identify what you missed, where it was, or where the gap is, where you need to pick up and go next. Okay? So very important when it comes to holding yourself or teams accountable and really fine-tuning your sales process and applying it. Guys, this is a sales process, and it can get complicated. You're talking to people for an hour long. Sometimes emotions get high. It's easy to lose a spot. It's easy to skip over stuff. It's easy to hear something you want to hear and skip huge chunks of the sales process. So this is what keeps us aligned. This is what keeps us moving forward. So it's important. So again, the point of today's call is look at that sales review sheet, kind of match it up to a sales call in action, and you also get to hear the sales process in action. You see exactly how all the pieces fit together and what this stuff sounds like in real life. So let's jump to the outside sales review sheet. So we had someone who sent this in. He filled this out, I believe, after the sales call. Pretty simple stuff. General, who you talking to, what's the property address, right? What are some, as far as preparation goes, what are some recent events or problems that, or challenges for this prospect? So this is a great, if you have an inside sales team that's separate from your outside sales team, or someone else is taking those calls and having to pass that information along. This is usually where we'd put it, right? So you get some clues. What's the entry level to pain or the problem or the opportunity? Preparation. What do you think? What are some recent events that prevented or presented problems or challenges? What do you think is the single biggest problem you might help your prospect solve? How far along is a prospect likely to be in the buying and selling process? Who are you likely competing against? What question is your prospect most likely to ask? Do you know asking price equity? Is the sales or is a person you're calling on a decision maker? If not, how might you develop this person into an influencer? So guys can see how in the preparation step, this kind of helps you plan the call for success. It immediately helps guide your call. What questions am I going to have to ask? What challenges do I know I'm going to be faced with right off the bat, and how do I overcome them? Right? Do I know competitors? Do I need to uncover them? If I do know them, how do we stack up against them, and how do I really highlight our competitive advantage? Some of these things you'll know, some of you won't, but all of them help going into a sales call. Let's push past that to the next. Advanced agreements. This just makes sure you establish them. Okay? Did you establish? Did you explain the agenda? The most important part, did you review what would happen at the end of the meeting? Yes is good, no is okay too. What we don't accept are our maybes, and we don't accept think it overs. Into the diagnosis. Right? If we get 1, 2, or 3 pain points, and then let me back up a slide. Are they emotional or are they technical? Okay. That emotional technical column looks real simplistic, but it does actually make you slow down and ask yourself real quick: is this a real problem or is this just surface pain? If it's just surface, what's the emotion connected? Because that's going to be the trigger to taking action. All right, let's move to the next portion of it. Investment. Is there any time or risk? Are there any relationships at risk if they decide to do business with you? Do we know anything about a budget? Did we get asking price, lowest offer they take? Who are you meeting with? Are there others involved? Are they looking at other vendors' options? What's the decision process? So this gentleman here has the same decision process all the time. He actually goes through every possible option with them and helps them eliminate them while they're in front of them. Have you thought about renting it? Have you thought about listing it? And he actually sits there, and together they eliminate every other option until he's the last man standing. And then he goes into his negotiation, and he goes into it with a lot more leverage. If you want more information on exactly how to do that, Voxer me, email me. We will jump into that. It's actually pretty simple, pretty easy. All right, let's jump to the next one. PowerPoint's taking a second to move today. All right, commitment. So remember, the commitment step is where we make sure we uncovered everything. We make sure we didn't miss anything. We make sure they're ready to give us a yes or no decision within a predetermined time frame. Okay? Did we verify those 3 steps? The pain, the investment, the decision process. Did we verify exactly what they need to see to be able to give that yes or no decision? Are they committed to making a yes or no decision, either now or within some predetermined length of time? Okay. Confirmation. Did you eliminate buyer's remorse while your prospect's in front of you? Yes. or no. Simply check it. Confirmation. You make sure you share each other's expectations. This is where we make sure that really we're on the same page, because when we don't share expectations, that's when feelings get hurt, things go awry. Do you have a plan when things go wrong? Okay, this makes sure that your prospects don't get squeamish or scared when we run into title problems and issues like that. Okay, and then is all the appropriate documentation complete? So pretty simple 2-page sheet, but it's really, really, really helpful in helping keep you on track and making sure you did not miss a thing. And when you come back and you know you missed something, when you come back and you go, I don't know what happened on that sales call, this is exactly where you look and dig deep into all these questions. And if you're in sales leadership, you go through the questions and you ask, how do you know that for sure? What questions did you find out or ask to find that out? And with new reps, you'll hear a lot of the same answer. They'll go, oh, they'll give you an answer, and then they'll say, well, how do you know? What did you ask? Well, I guess they said something in the beginning and I just assumed. And in the beginning, you'll hear a lot of that, just a ton of that. Well, you know, I usually people in that area, in that situation, that's what but you didn't ask? No, I guess I just assumed. You'll hear that over and over and over again. Okay, so this is really where we help to get more traction on the ground when we're applying this stuff. It's such a simple tool. It's 2 pages. Guys, this is really, really powerful, especially if your people aren't recording their appointments, okay, or if you just want a spot check. This really keeps them on track. Even if you're not holding salespeople accountable, it helps them hold themselves accountable and stay on track through the process. Okay. Do we have any questions about that outside sales review sheet? Okay, all of you should have this in Word. So if there's an extra piece, there's something we need to reword, we can really just reword any of it, okay? So this is completely customizable. This gets the bulk of it, but we can reword, redo, whatever you like to do with it, okay? Or we could put it in an electronic format if you want, throw it on a tablet. All that stuff's possible, okay? So let's jump into our next portion. Whoever filled this sheet out is amazing. That is absolutely right. Got one of those comments. Let's let my PowerPoint catch up to me. All right, so Colin, you're going to recognize this call. This was a very early call with one of your old employees, but all of our sales calls we got to review. We only got a few of them in, and they came in late last night. So while going through about, I don't know, 4 or 8 hours of inside sales calls that we ran over this morning, I had to go out and pull out an old one that I had reviewed in the past, so you will recognize this. This woman's name was Sherry. There's a lot about this call that I liked. There's a lot with the structure of this call that I liked. Now, at the end of the day, this salesperson kind of had some of those hidden weaknesses we've talked about in the past that really kept her from digging deep into pain, okay? But I think this call will do a good illustration of just the basic process, how we lay it out, and we're going to talk a lot about how certain pieces fit in with each other and where we pull back from earlier in the conversation to grab leverage later in the conversation, how we really get past objections and things like that. So where this salesperson wasn't 100% killing it best they could be because of some limitations they had, the basic structure of the call that the sales leadership of this company provided really did lead for a good call for us to review today. We'll also be able to see a few points where we fell short. We didn't dig enough, and that's going to be a great lesson too. Okay. So we're going to dig into it. This is a long call, so I'm going to skip around a bit. We're going to start off listening to the introduction. Then there's going to be about 22 minutes of walking around a property, getting pain. We're not going to listen to all that, but we'll listen to an example of it so we can see some of the places where this salesperson fell short and then talk about what would we have done in those situations. So I'm going to get this call queued up. We'll start about 2 minutes into it as they're walking to the door and getting things moving.
This is January 25th. I'm at the home.
My years.
Oh my.
And,
All right, here we are.
we've just said a lot.
Oh my.
Watch your step.
Okay, you want me to go up or down?
Either
All right.
way, whatever.
Well, Mary, thank you for inviting me over to take a look at the place.
Well, thank you for coming. I'm sorry that it doesn't look better, but
Hey, I can see past, okay?
okay.
I can see past, so you can just...
We were trying to kind of clean up the floor because you couldn't even walk
Oh,
here. You know.
I am so
So it's-
sorry. You know, Mary, I'm sorry about your loss.
Oh, thank you.
I've just really
Thank
been
you.
heavy on my heart for you. I'm so sorry. How long were you guys married?
Okay, so walking into a home, we're going to use this first 10, 15, 20 minutes to really build rapport. We're walking the home, we're looking at the condition. It gives us a great time just to chat. Let's not talk business at this point. Some of you or some of your sales reps are going to feel the need to start dumping product knowledge, right? What you do with the houses, the way it's built, construction, all kinds of different things. Don't do this. This is time to get to know your prospect, and you're going to start hearing all kinds of cues into their pain, into their problem, or into the opportunities. And we're making check marks, and we're making mental notes, and we're digging a little deeper. And it's during this first 20 minutes that they're going to give you a lot of clues and oftentimes tell you exactly why they would do business with you today. Okay? So it seems like it's not an important piece of the call, but it's actually crucial. Even if we don't get into the diagnosis and why they'll do business with you today, this is going to build a rapport that when you have to ask that question flat out, will allow you to ask that question and get an answer. So let's pick back up.
25 years.
Oh my. How are you doing? Good days and
Have
bad.
good and bad days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So kind of muddled through, you know.
Were you originally living here
No, I've never lived here.
or in Pueblo?
Originally it was my brother, my sister-in-law's husband's house,
Oh, okay.
and he had it, and they lived here, and then Ben kind of took it over when he was going into foreclosure,
Oh, okay.
and so that he would have a place to live. My husband took it and bought it, and let him live here till he died.
Oh, wow.
So then after he died, then he and I came and we cleaned up the place. We did a lot of work. And then all of a sudden his nephew decides to come and he says that he needs a place to stay. And so they made the agreement. And after that it
Went downhill. So how long was he in here?
About 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the first year or so, he was okay. You know, he was paying the rent and everything. Then gradually, he started not paying rent. So for the last 2 or 3 years, he hasn't paid that much.
Oh, wow. How is
And my
that for
husband.
you?
Well, you know, I told my husband, you know, I kept telling him, we need to get rid of the place. You know, we need to do it.
Okay, so we're already getting into pain. And something she did good there that I liked is as soon as she said, well, then he started not paying rent. What was that like for you? Okay, so already starting to dig a little bit. What you'll see with this caller, she's going to fall short on a lot of these. Okay. She's going to be quieter than, or excuse me, she's going to fall short on a lot of these. Where we start to see pain, you'll hear the surface pain, and then you'll see her switch topics. That's going to be a huge weakness. So what I want you to think of is when you start hearing these cues, when your radar is going off, okay, here's potential pain problem. What questions would I ask to keep that conversation going? How long's that been going on? What was that like? You know, how would you deal with it? You know, did that affect anyone else? Any questions like that? Can you tell me more about that? Can you give me an example? What was that like? You know, anything to keep them going. So that's going to be this salesperson shortfall. So that's where I want your brains to go as you hear pain after pain listed, and then some of them we just skip over. So someone has said that the call's a little quieter than it has been in the past. Let me go ahead and I've got this volume all the way up. This person has a recorder in their pocket, so the call quality is not going to be as good as our recorded sales calls, but hopefully this helps a little bit.
And so he,
Hi.
he said, yeah, he said, we really do need, and then when he was diagnosed with cancer, I told him, you know, for sure, because he made a good retirement, and we could afford to make the payment.
Right.
But see, now that all's changed. I don't get his retirement.
Oh, my.
And so it
Mary.
just leaves me with my own retirement, which isn't that much.
Right.
And I told him, I said, Ben, if something happens to you, I can make the payment. You know, I have my own house to take care of, and, you know. And he kept saying, oh yeah, I gotta take care of him, and he never did.
Oh, my.
And then I didn't blame him because he was really
He was sick. How long was he
About
suffering?
2.5 years.
Oh, my.
Okay, she's mentioned, you know, I can't pay for my own house when I'm paying for this and so on. You're gonna see so many opportunities to dive deep into pain that we miss. But right now, I want you to start training your ears just to listen for that stuff. When we get into those houses and when we're on these appointments, we're all going to feel this urge to think about what we're going to ask next while the prospect is talking. And we've got to really suppress that urge and just open up our ears and listen, or else all the reasons why the prospect is going to tell us why they do business with us, we're just going to miss them and we're not going to explore them. And when we do that, we're going to have a lot of trouble getting over objections. You'll hear more about that in just a bit.
I know, and we already knew that it was, you know, it was terminal. I mean, they were just kind of prolonging his time, you know. But
Was he able to be home with you?
yeah,
Or was, oh, good.
yeah, and he did really well until the last couple of weeks. He ended up in the hospital and he never came home.
Oh,
And
I
so
am
his
so
heart
sorry.
bleeding internally, and it was just really, really bad. So I was spending all my time at the hospital with him, and he was so afraid.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, at least you were with him,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
probably let.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward into the middle of this conversation, still doing the walkthrough.
Would
With this.
the wood stove.
Okay. Except that it's got a furnace. I was going to say it's not the main source, so it's forced air,
No,
gas.
because one of the outlets
Okay.
went there, went over there, and I thought there was one right here.
Well, maybe underneath. You know, it could be. Who knows?
And then,
There's one there
yeah.
in the wall.
And
Okay.
there's a big one
A
here,
big one here. Okay.
and then each one has one.
Okay. Oops, somebody left their phone. A piece of paper.
As they are.
I know.
I
So building good rapport, just a lot of softening statements, right? Just, yeah, keeping the prospect talking. Let me fast forward a little more, see if she starts volunteering more pain.
You gotta go to the steps, you gotta go out the front door, you gotta put in the truck, you gotta walk back, you gotta come back, take the other half,
Right. Okay, well, Mary, where's a good place we can just go talk?
All right, so there's about 20. I'll just give you the Cliff Notes version. As they walked through the house, the prospect talked a lot about financial issues, a lot about being left this house that she doesn't know what to deal with. There's been break-ins to the house, repairs. She's had some repairs actually done that weren't done correctly. So there was lots of these pain indicators. She doesn't live in town, so she has to make a special trip to come back and look after the house. She's getting up there in age. Most of this stuff was just skipped over. It was volunteered, and then it was just a, wow. What you'll have to do is dig in. What's that mean? What's that like? How long's that been going on? And find out as much as you can while your prospect's talking. As they start to share, that's going to build even more rapport. You cannot be afraid to dig into that stuff because that's really where the meat of the sale is. This is where we're selling right here. Even though it doesn't feel like it, that's it. So we don't have 30 minutes to just listen to that entire thing today. So what we're going to pick up at is they've walked the house. There's been all these pain indicators, and they're going to sit down at the table. So when they sit down at the table, they're going to do an advanced agreement, right? Get a yes or no decision, get a commitment for a yes or no decision. She doesn't do the commitment step where she really makes sure she hasn't missed anything, I don't believe. She does a little later on. She kind of finds time to do it and throws it in there, but not right away. And then she's going to start overcoming objections. She's going to, in not a very structured way, but she will go through investment and decision process, okay? Make an offer and so forth. So let's listen. There's going to be a lot of interesting things that happen over the next few minutes.
There's the kitchen or someplace where you...
I'm going to just sit in my truck.
Well, it's probably a lot more.
Find
Is this... Where would you... How about right here? Is this all right? Are you good? Do you want to... Where are you sitting? You okay there? Okay.
Okay.
All right, well, let's talk. Well, Mary, first of all, as an investor, what I do is, we buy low, and so we can put money into it, and that's where we make our profit. You never give us any money. We don't take commissions or anything like that. So after we talk a little bit, if I feel like it's going to work for me, I can give you a yes today. Okay, that I can buy your house. If I don't think that it's going to work for us, then I'll have to give you a definite no. But I can do that today. So there's no maybe for you. Are you okay with that too? You can tell me yes or no today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'll be upfront with you and
Good. That's what we want. Straight across. Okay. So what would...
All right, so we all caught that advance agreement. Was there anything anyone would have done differently for that advance agreement? Okay. I mean, pretty solid. Not bad.
Was it that you were actually hoping I could do for you today with your situation here?
Just take it over, or just buy it from us, so I can actually be rid of it.
Yeah. Now you have a mortgage on it, correct?
Okay, so diagnosis. Remember how we start the diagnosis, diving deeper into pain? A nice, vague, open-ended question. We don't want to lead our prospect and say, now you're probably feeling this, dealing with this. We start with that open-ended question. What were you hoping I could do for you today? Or, when you originally picked up the phone and called us, how were you hoping this thing ended? What were you hoping we'd be able to maybe help you with? And let the prospect take us to the pain. What you'll hear a lot of times is a salesperson will try to guide the prospect. The salesperson will think they know what the prospect's pain is and try to lead them through their questioning to that pain. We cannot do that. We've got to let the prospect pull us, and we do that with the questions we ask.
And you were saying
The balance was $31,000.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I know. I just made a payment on it, and I can't remember the exact. But it was in that area.
Okay.
31 something.
Okay. All right. Okay. So have you? I'm not sure of the options. So have you done other things to try to sell it or anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're the first one, and we had.
So you guys see where I said the salesperson's weakness was? She skipped over the pain step, basically, right? There's probably a dozen things that I mentioned that happened during that initial walkthrough that were all indicators of pain. And instead of really drilling deep into there right now, or even before, went right past the pain and into decision-making process, right? So she's okay. She didn't get the answer she was looking for, didn't dig any more, didn't expand it, didn't say, hold on. Just said, all right, diagnosis is over within 30 seconds. What is our decision-making process? Now, I'm glad she's going through the decision-making process, but way premature. And this, you'll hear a lot that she does right. That was her biggest weakness. Okay, here we go. So now she's moving into decision-making process. I'm not your only option.
It's my husband, sorry. Let me turn this thing down. Sorry about that. I thought I had it turned off. No, it's not even going down here. Hello, turn down. There it went. So what you're thinking on listing it?
Well, so we have some people that might be interested, but they live in Denver.
Yeah.
And then I had called you, because I have a brother that lives here, and he had gotten something in the mail from your company.
Right.
And he said, well, give him a call, because at the time I really wasn't ready. I said, I got to decide what. I know I wanted to get rid of the place,
Right.
And so we were in line to hire somebody to, pick up all this stuff and,
Right.
clean it up and maybe make it a little more presentable. And but I said, well, I'll call him.
Yeah.
It won't hurt to call. I said, I don't know for sure, what'll happen, but you can try.
Right.
And then there's some people, my financial planner, he said there were some people, he knew some people that were interested in properties down here in Pueblo. And he says, when you're ready, let me know,
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm meeting tomorrow. I'm meeting with him tomorrow.
Okay.
So she's doing a good job uncovering the deal killers, right? But here's why the diagnosis is so important. When you start to uncover this, what we have to do is help guide our prospect to making a decision. And the way we help get them past those objections, these speed bumps, these deal killers or stallers, all these things that will get in the way of doing business with them, the easiest way to do that is to give them a simple decision. You compare pain to that decision. You compare pain to that speed bump or that challenge. So when you start to hear these things, what we're going to do is take the prospect back to a simple decision. Listen, you told me pain, 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 pain. Okay? Now, I know other people are coming to look at the house and this, and is this worth taking some action on? Or can you spend a fair amount of time and just see where things go? It might be where it's not a big deal. This pain's not a big deal. You can handle this for another 3 to 6 months. None of this stuff's a big deal. If that's the case, that's completely fine. Or is this something that you need to take action on sooner? Is it something you can wait around on? And we start comparing the pain to those speed bumps, those objections, those concerns. And we help just break those decisions down into a very simplistic decision. Is pain worth pushing past this? Is pain worth taking action? Is pain worth not taking action and just seeing if other options come in? Now, here's the thing. Don't you have to have a pretty high level of a higher level of emotional pain to get people to push past those things? If we have no pain, well, no, might as well see what people have to say if they offer anything else. But when you have a high amount of pain, your prospects are, you know what, no, you'll literally hear them say, we got to do something about this. I can't keep going like this. I can't live like this any longer. So we use the diagnosis and the pain we dig up, that gap in between where they are today and where they want to be, and we start juxtaposing that. We start putting that side by side with all of these objections and things that get in the way. And that's how we guide our prospects to blow through those objections, okay? But that's why diagnosis is so important. That's the motivation and urgency. If you don't have that built, small objections get in the way of moving a deal forward. But when that's high enough, no, that's not a big deal. If they want to make an offer, they should have done it already. I got to get this taken care of. Those are the types of things you'll hear. So let's keep going and see where this goes.
And then I'll let him know what's going on with this place, and he's trying to take care of me. And
That's good. That's good that you got the support, though. That's a good thing.
yeah. So and then we had the nephew that was living here. His son was interested in buying the place. And we were hoping that he'd be here today. And because we really wanted him to look at what his dad did,
Yeah.
basically. And so, but we haven't heard from him, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got a few things going,
Right.
you know, but
Well, I know
anyway,
you
go
were-
ahead and
Well, you were talking when we were on the phone,
Mhm.
and you were saying that you were really kind of in that place where you're all the way in Denver. You've got this place,
Mhm.
and it's costing you,
Mhm.
and it's hard on you
Mhm.
financially. Is that still the
Mhm.
case?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see what she's doing? So since she skipped over diagnosis on this phone call, or excuse me, on this live appointment, she said, okay, now I've got these deal killers, I got these things that are in the way, I've got to bring back up the pain, but I didn't even talk about it today, so I'm going to have to reference back to, remember when we were talking on the phone, and now it's getting kind of late in the conversation, and she's going to try to stir up the pain here. So she knows what she has to do. Unfortunately, she had a much better opportunity to do this the last 30 minutes, face-to-face, with all this huge rapport being built. But now, we're later in the call, and you can't always backtrack. So she's going to try, though. She's going to go, okay, I remember pain from the initial phone call. Now let's toss it out there and see where we're at.
Mhm.
So,
Like I say, you know, after my husband died, he was the big breadwinner, and so he left some of it, but it's not that much,
right,
you know, as what they call survivor benefits.
right,
And so, you know, with taking care of my house, I think that's all I can afford,
right,
is just to take care of my house. And I just can't afford to take care of this one,
right.
you know.
Financially, to,
And making a payment on it is the problem, you
yeah,
know.
okay,
And I don't want, and then the thing is, I don't want it really, you know, I just
yeah.
don't want
As
it.
a rental or anything like that.
For sure. No,
It's not a rental. You've been there, done that. You would say that's not an option. Not a,
See, you kind of hear her grasping for straws at this point, and now she's trying to lead the prospect to that pain. So, guys, I want some feedback here. Hearing those things together, can you kind of start to see why that diagnosis conversation is so important on the front side? Because that's where we gain all of our leverage to push back all of these concerns and objections before we get to our presentation, before we make our offer. Does that make sense? How we're going to dig that up, get them to an emotional place, and then use that leverage to blow past all those things that would typically get in the way. Does this make sense? Or am I losing you? I'm not getting a lot of feedback, so I'm not sure if we're on the same page or not. Okay. We'll keep going.
Already told me, she said, there's no ifs or buts, it's get rid of it altogether,
Yeah.
you know,
okay.
one way or the other, so.
Well, are you familiar with, I mean, the market and everything in this area? Have you been following that at all or anything?
I'm not,
Okay.
you know.
Well, I mean, you have some other options out there with relatives and stuff like that. Are they, I mean, do they have priority over if I were to buy it? Is there something?
No, they just said that they would like to buy it, but, you know, that's just a lot of talk.
Oh, okay.
And he's the only one that offered, that
Okay.
he thought he might want to buy it because his grandma lived here.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, so what do you, if you sell it, if I can buy it or?
All right, so good. So thank you. I guess I woke some of you up there, getting some more interaction now. Guys, this is important. So thank you for jumping in and giving me that feedback. I appreciate it. So she was kind of, yeah. So Darlene says doing damage control, not really working, but that's what happens, right? When we fail to have that important conversation on the front side, then we try to do damage control, when all these things pop up on the back end. It's much easier to proactively deal with this stuff. So she saw all the things that could get in the way with the deal when she's talking about the decision process. Lucky for her, the prospect is already kind of feeling the pain. She's already kind of in touch with it, but we're not always going to get that lucky. A lot of times we've got to lead our prospects there through our questions, right? How's this real? You know, you're telling me a lot about how expensive it is and this and that, but here's what I haven't heard. How is this really impacting you? Or, I mean, where's the rubber meet the road? Do you even feel it, or is it just this is kind of an annoyance? Okay, that's what we failed to do. So now it's damage control. So now she came up with the question, well, does your family have priority over anyone else? Luckily, she says no. But honestly, that's a little bit of luck. That's because the prospect is already feeling enough pain on her own that she's kind of pushing herself through. And when we really think about it, in many of our sales calls that are successful, that's what happens. It's because the prospects were already feeling enough pain on their own. They were already in touch with exactly how a property was impacting them, that they kind of push themselves through this process and over their own objections. What we want to teach is how do we get those prospects that aren't already there? How do we get those prospects in touch with those emotions and how this property is truly impacting them to help them through this process? How do we take control and create that environment when prospects don't create that environment on their own? So you're hearing a few things go right, but honestly, a lot of this is luck that the prospect is already in a painful enough situation, already in touch with it. So you get to see them push themselves through these objections, but a lot of it's not because the diagnosis conversation was had correctly. A lot of it's because they put themselves there.
What is your next step? What are you going to do? Are you going to stay in Denver and your daughter, is she there, and you're okay settled there?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And financially you'll be okay.
I have my house, and my house is paid for. I just need to get out from under it because the money that goes out for this place, I could use somewhere else.
Yeah. How's that making?
I need to do some work on my house.
Okay.
See, we had like you said, a bucket list, but we had a to-do list. And so my husband and I had made this list of all the things that we needed to do in our house. Well, it has been put on the back burner, and I haven't done it. And I say, I need to get those things done. Because if I do.
Okay, so a moment ago she made an attempt at a picture-perfect question. So back in Denver, what are things? Are you going to be okay there? She was trying to put her future pacer, put her in the future. Okay, if this is behind you, what's life going to be like? The prospect really didn't go there. She started to, but then that got her thinking about how far away she was now, and she's talking about pain again. Now this is what the prospect's doing on her own. Now imagine how powerful it is, how powerful you can be if through a few simple questions you get all of your prospects there. Okay? That's what we're trying to replicate. That's what our diagnosis, our problem impact picture perfect questions do. We actually can control this. So let's keep listening.
I need to get as much as I can, but the way it is right now, I wouldn't be able to. Because they want, one of the things was, I had my porch poured in, had a new porch poured in, took all the old stairs, put everything in really nice. So we did do that. That was
that's good.
So we did that last fall. And then I needed gutters. My house needs gutters really bad. So that was on the list. And then I have a timeshare that I need to get rid of. And
So what's the prospect volunteering? Impact. What is this property keeping you from doing? Guys, notice everything the prospect brings up, her pain. Now, she is volunteering it, but it goes hand in hand with our impact questions. How is this property impacting you financially, spiritually, emotionally? Is it impacting others? Is it impacting how you spend your time? Is it impacting your health, right? Those impact questions, those reasons, that leads to pain, right? A property is neither painful or not. It's the impact of that property on somebody's life. So I want you to notice this prospect is convincing themselves to sell. And she's doing it by going through all the impact the property's having. What I would hope happened on this call, or happens on our sales calls, is we simply ask our our impact questions, our problem, impact, and then picture perfect questions. We can replicate that, and we can get our prospects to do that who aren't volunteering the information. But that's what it sounds like.
Somebody working with me on that,
Good.
but I had to put that on the back because of this. I said, the timeshare, I know it's taking a little extra money, but I'm good for a year, and I can, because he told me it takes maybe 3 to 6 months to really get rid of it.
Right.
So anyway, that was things.
Well, if I'm hearing you right, this is kind of a burden for you at this
Mhm.
point right now, and financially as well as mentally.
Mhm.
Is that correct? Am I hearing you right?
Yeah.
And to just be rid of it would help you to continue on with your house,
Mhm.
get that fixed, and be able to have some little extra money.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, before I forgot.
All right, so good summarization, but here's the big thing I want you guys to take away from this call so far, okay? Number one, we can hear that pain sells and pain pushes past objections and concerns, right? And we can hear what kind of pain actually goes through our prospects' minds, how they make these decisions and what they think about it. And it's everything we've been talking about, okay? And I want you to realize how much control you have over that conversation with the questions you ask. We can either go into every sales call and hope they have enough pain and they take themselves. This woman's taking herself through the sales process. Or we can control it and replicate this exact situation on many of our sales calls. Man, that's where we get better results. Okay, that only comes through our questions. There's 3 questions you need to know: problem, impact, picture perfect. They will get to everyone's pain, and they will get them talking exactly like this woman is and describing her situation. So important.
About this thing so you can find out a little bit about us. I have a letter here that kind of just tells how we can buy cash. We pay cash so we can close quickly. We don't have to go through all the steps through the financial institutions as far as having surveys and having bringing everything up to code. So that's a plus. We also, because we're paying cash, our closing times, you don't have to wait 6 months, 3 months. Yeah, we can actually, as soon as we get clear title and things go through, we can close and get you your cash. Okay, so that's what that is. And these are some of the homes that we've done here in Pueblo. So you can kind of take a look at, before.
All right, so she's getting ready to make her offer, go into presentation mode. So she's just some quick credibility indicators. A lot of you have those, I'm sure. By the way, we're legit. Here we are. So she'll run through that quickly. That should be run through fairly quickly.
And afters. And then we got a few people even wrote us little notes that we put in here as little testimonies of people in similar situations that we've been able to help, and they can vouch for our character and our integrity. And we also have a list of some professionals. You may know them. I don't know. You're not from here, so you may not, but you might. These are guys that we work with quite often, and so they can vouch for us as well. We are rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, so you can check us out. We're not just fly by night. We try to do our best. And this is for you. So, what were you...
All right, so now we're going to get into the financial negotiation. Now, she's a lot stronger on this, okay? She makes up for some of her shortcomings here. So pay attention to this next part because there's going to be a lot of valuable gems in the next few minutes.
Financially, number-wise, what were you hoping that I could get you today?
Well, I don't know who you can, because she kind of keeps on top of with the current market.
Right.
I mean, I know if you...
So Darlene just shared, she didn't share what they will do to benefit the seller and take away her pain. So Good. I'm glad you guys are seeing, putting all these pieces together. So yeah, when she gets into, and she'll touch on it a little bit here in a few minutes, but start to see how important. Guys, remember weeks ago when we started this, I said the cell is won or lost in the diagnosis. Can you start to see and feel why when you hear it in action? The sale is that pain and us taking care of it. That's where it's won or lost, in the diagnosis. So that's where we spend most of our time. And that's when we get to the deal killers, our decision-making process in our investment step, right? That's when we uncover those things and we compare them against the pain. And the higher that pain is, the easier and quicker we're going to blow through that stuff. And then when we get to presentation, here's how I'm going to solve your pain. Okay? It starts to make sense, and at this point you should start saying yeah, this is simple, right? This is actually pretty simplistic. Pain, 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 pain. We use problem, impact, picture perfect questions. By the way, is anything going to get in the way of this deal compared to the pain? Is that worth getting in the way? No. What's the next thing? We blow past it, right? Well, here's what I'm hearing. Is that right? Let me show you how we're going to solve pain, 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 or help you capture that opportunity you so badly want. Okay? It really is a lot simpler than people make it out to be.
Obviously, if it was in a decent shape, the current market value in this neighborhood was probably around 80. I mean, high for the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been a lot of other homes that have sold for 85, depending,
Farther over by Greenwood and Elizabeth
even
and
within the
stuff.
next block over,
Okay.
a couple blocks in the radius. So, just because we've had to put in so much money, I mean, even after, I was hoping for at least, 50 just to get out of it and, be done and be able to kind of recoup a little bit of something. Everything has just been money, money, money.
Right. And then all the rent we lost. Yeah, I mean, I know that's, that's our sob story, and that's not your problem, but, my husband lost a lot of money, about 3 years worth, I'd say, of rent. And,
So how do you
Well,
go about?
This is, well, what I do is, I'll do a comparable of what houses sold for in this area in the last year. And we have to go by.
Okay, guys, this is probably going to be, this is one of the most important pieces of this call, okay? She does very well, okay? This is where she is going to negotiate. So the first number thrown out there was 80,000, okay? So we talked during one of our sessions about price anchoring. So their expectation now is high. Now we've got to start throwing out some lower numbers to reset that expectation, to anchor the price lower, and then we can work from there, okay? So I always like to, we're going to start low, reset expectations. The way she does it is she just says, hey, I know you're expecting 50, 80. Let's just take a look at what they're actually selling for in the area. And her showing those numbers, that's how she's setting price anchors. She's resetting those expectations.
Market. We can't go by what people listed at, but what actually sells.
right.
And I found 4 of them that are right here on the 2100 block of Blake. It's smaller than yours, and it listed for $24,900, sold for $23,000. Yeah, I was shocked too. I really was. But I know if you get a couple more blocks over, around the Elizabeth and Greenwood and up a little bit further, it's almost like night and day as far as pricing. The highest one that I found that was closest to yours was on Cheyenne. And that one listed for $34,000, sold for $34,000. They just went straight across the corner. There's not a lot selling at this point because we're in that transition area. There's a lot of stuff going on in the community with all the marijuana coming in and people fighting. So the market is kind of at this stagnant place.
Here it is.
Yeah, Denver is horrible, isn't it? And we have a lot of those people moving down here and they have no place to go. I mean, there's no jobs and
If you're
stuff.
saying that, then you guys wouldn't be offering anything close to that.
All right, did you hear that? So without her really saying anything, she's reset their expectations. So if that's what the houses are going for, I know you guys can't even pay close to that. So they went from houses are going for 80, we'll take 50, to a new reality has set in, we're probably not getting 20. No confrontation. Reset those expectations using a price anchor.
No, and I know your situation. You owe 31 on it. You know, and I was almost debating how can we do this, you know, with the damage that needs to be done and the fixing. That I'm still concerned about this. I mean, I want to get those reports because it's still.
Because there should be some sort of warranty.
Yeah.
There is.
Okay, because it still doesn't it to you look like it's kind of.
Yeah, they probably didn't fix it, you know, any better. I mean, I don't know what they did, to be honest,
Well,
but you're right.
You know, I didn't understand, you know, we.
Okay, and she didn't even balk. That was great. I know she was trained to do that. The hesitation, okay? She said, you probably can't even do that. And instead of saying, no, here's my offer, it's kind of a grimace. And, you know, I don't even know. I'm wondering if we could even, you know, I'm still concerned about this. Now all of a sudden, the shoe's on the other foot, right? Now all of a sudden, you're going to see them selling to her. Works really well.
Met with the guy, and supposedly they're a reputable company.
Yeah.
You know, but I have the paperwork at home.
Mhm.
You know, I meant to bring it, I forgot. But I mean, I'm just constantly going, you know, paperwork.
Yeah.
I just.
So what do you guys base your offer on? I mean, or what would you?
We actually go by the market, and then I try to figure out what the cost is going to be to repair it, if the damages are there, and then to be able to, you know, like if it's in spit-spot condition, what can I sell it at? Or what can I rent it at if I use it as a rental? So that's what we base it on. We have to look at the market. We have to look at the area. So I was in this position where I was almost like, holy cow, because all I saw was this out here. I didn't realize even the damage on the inside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. You know, I'd really like to be able to help you in a big way. I could definitely give you the 31 to pay it off, and maybe a couple thousand
That
for
would
your
almost be
time.
worth it to me. I mean, I hate to be that way, but you know,
Mhm.
I'm just getting. I know my mom is tired of dealing with it,
Right.
and
Okay, we're short on time, so I'm going to skip through a few spots. But notice everything they say from here on out, they're talking about emotional, tired of dealing with it, sick of this, frustrated with this. Notice that every decision they make from here on out, you can hear them talk it through. They will make emotional decisions, then they will go ahead and back it up with logic. Everything these two women say from here on out, emotion, 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 well, it makes sense because, and then logic. You can literally hear their thought process.
you know, it's not just the money; it's the stress and the time consumption, and you know everything else that goes along with it. And you know, if she paid it off, then at least she doesn't have to worry about a payment
Right.
every month.
So do you hear that? The stress and this and that, and now logic. And if she paid it off, she doesn't have to worry about this and this. This is a huge sneak peek into a buyer's mind. This is everything we talk about. Making the decision emotionally, then they find the logic. Now, even with this, you're going to get what happens next a whole lot. They're going to want to wait and think it over.
And, yeah, I just dropped up insurance and, you know,
Because you're
everything.
paying a lot of extra things, taxes and insurance.
And utilities.
Yeah,
is-
no, still paying the utilities, yeah.
So I mean, if that were the case, I mean,
So emotion, 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 logic. They're selling themselves. And I'm going to fast forward just a bit. Oops, we want to think it over. Let's listen to this.
and you'll get what's left at the closing from what we decide. Now, the reason I was saying a couple thousand maybe would be help you to cover closing costs, help you to cover the title insurance that's the seller's responsibility. So, you know, we could cover that so that you're walking away with not an expense. Is that,
Did you want to wait till we talk to Kevin tomorrow?
Yeah, we can do that too, because we'll meet with him tomorrow.
Okay, now they're going to wait to talk to someone. Guys, we're going to go just a couple minutes over. Please hang on with me because this is important. If your salespeople or you can get through this next spot and hold tight to the advance agreement like she does, you'll see exactly what happens. Okay, right now they're saying we need to wait and talk to our CPA and some other people.
We had another group that's out of Denver that they're properties just to hold on to, you know, and then that way, if they start appreciating, they were buying properties here in Pueblo.
Okay.
So I had talked to him a long time ago, but we weren't even close to that point, you know, in saying, oh yeah, we're ready to sell. But now that we are, you know, with everything going on, he's our financial planner, so we're actually meeting with him tomorrow.
Well, I have a little, that's why I was asking if we could make it today, the decision, because I have another house I'm supposed to look at tomorrow. So if I say yes to you, then I won't buy the one tomorrow. But that's why I can't just say, well, maybe, because then I'm stuck. I can't make that decision for tomorrow because I'm making you that offer first. So that's where I'm at.
So let's say we go ahead with it. Are we having to get rid of all of this stuff?
Bang. And did you hear the hidden objection come out when she stuck to her advance agreement? Okay? Remember, we always say that. You got to stick to them and force a prospect to make a decision. Yes is great, no is okay too, but notice how when she stuck to it, we have an unspoken concern or objection that was never mentioned that now gets flushed out.
Or
Well-
just literally as is, because that makes a big difference too. I'm just gonna say, you know.
Yeah, and we can work that. I mean, because we do buy as is, and if that would make a difference for you to help you to make that decision, then we could do that.
Because then we don't have to worry about all of this stuff, you know.
Because then you just have somebody come in and
Yeah, we'll have a team come in, like you had Sam or whatever come by. We'll get our team and we'll just have them go through it and clean it up. That's
That might be worth it in itself. But it's up to you, Mom. I don't, you know.
and we could finalize it today. You could go back to Denver and not even worry about it again.
Well, that's fine with me. I just want to be rid of it.
We don't have to, you know,
We'll have to come back down.
ready or do anything with it anymore. You know, because Josiah, I called him and he was supposed to call me and I never heard back. So, you know.
Guys, did you hear how now the prospects sold themselves? Do you hear how powerful that ultimate advance agreement is? Okay? Show of hands if you hear that. Show of hands how most average or mediocre salespeople would have just said, okay, I'll follow up with you in 24 hours. But sorry, no dice. Then we get hidden objection, and then when they're at a certain pain threshold, and just getting that idea that, oh shoot, you're saying this pain might not go away, now they're talking themselves into the sale. No, I don't want to live in a reality where that pain doesn't go away. And she takes them then to picture perfect. Well, if we get it out of the way, you can go back to Denver. Live your picture perfect life where you no longer have to worry about the travel and this and the bills and the break-ins. Okay? So important.
It's got to move fast.
Yeah, because he was the one that I said he was interested in buying it, but
Didn't hear a word.
didn't hear from him. So,
Yeah.
so I mean that's
And
it.
to me, that would be a benefit because then we don't have to rent anything. We don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have to hire because we were going to have somebody come in on Saturday and get a dumpster and all that. But
It's just hard.
Yeah, I
A
know.
lot of work.
I know. And this is a lot of stuff they left. I'm so sorry that they did this, especially being family. I know that causes a.
So in about a minute, they break out the paperwork and they do it. Okay? That's it. That's an emotional sale. Do you guys hear that? Can you feel it? How different is that? I got 60, will you take 60? every objection, when you get the emotion high enough, prospects overcome their own objections and they come up with the logic why it makes sense. When you do your ultimate advance agreement and you say, sorry, we don't accept maybes or think it overs, they go, I don't want to be stuck feeling this pain. I want this pain to go away. And they continue to sell themselves. They get over their own objections. See, we use pain to overcome every objection. And the more emotional we get them, the easier that is. And a few simply placed questions here and there can get to that pain, keep it on the surface, and then we simply compare that pain to every reason why they wouldn't go ahead and do business with us. Never lead or tell them what they should feel or why they should feel it. But guys, do you see how incredibly frickin' powerful that is? It's huge. So in 5 minutes over, I'll wrap up now. That's what I want to hear more of. Now imagine if she was good enough to have taken them to that pain on her own. When you guys get good enough to take them to that pain point on your own, you literally become unstoppable. I mean, you become so powerful. And you put people in touch with their pain. And then you provide a huge service. You won't just buy houses. You'll solve real problems. And that's when you get those glowing reviews. People will love you no matter what the price point was. Okay? That's where we got to get. That's sales. That's how people make decisions. You heard them say it themselves. Feeling, feeling, feeling. Well, it makes sense logically. Guys, we'll wrap it up here. If you want the complete call, let me know and I'll send you that complete call from beginning to end and you can hear it all the way through or share it with your teams, okay? Vouch for me or email me if you want it. I'll go ahead and send you the file. Okay, everyone have a great day. We'll talk again soon.